I don't know about you guys, but one of my favorite things about makeup is the variety and how it allows you to customize it based on your wants and needs. Hi beautiful, welcome back to our channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today I'm going to be showing you a baddie on a budget makeup routine. All of the products that I have here are not under $50, not $20, but $15, and they're all available at Cloré Beauty Supply. Okay, let's get started with the routine. Before I do anything, I'm going to clip up my hair just to get it out of the way. Usually whenever I'm doing my makeup, I like to start off with my brows. Here I have these shades, soft brown and dark brown in the LA Girl Brow Pomade. I'll show you guys the soft brown. This is how it looks. This shade is better for lighter skin tones. And here I have the dark brown, which is what I'm going to be using today. So that's that one right there. I have an eyebrow brush and it has a spoolie on the other end of it. And I'm going to fill in my brows. But before I do that, I like to brush them into place just to make sure that the shape is right. And so I'm going to use this end to fill in my brows. Just going to dip the product in. You don't need too much. And then you're just going to outline your brows based on your shape. And obviously your eyebrow routine is going to be custom to you and the shape of your brows, how you prefer for them to look. So you don't have to do them exactly how I do mine. And as you may notice, I didn't draw the line all the way to the front edge of my eyebrow just because I like for it to have more of a natural look. And then I'm going to fill in the tail of my brow and the front. And at the front, you want to do light strokes just so it's not too harsh and it has that gradient effect. And obviously we're going to outline it with concealer, which is going to give it more of a precise look anyway. So once it's filled into your liking, you want to take the spoolie end of your eyebrow brush just to fade out the color. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Here I have the Kiss New York Full Coverage Concealer, and I am in the shade 320 Warm Honey. That's it right there. And I'm going to be using a concealer brush from Cala. By the way, all of the links to the products will be in the description below. So if there's something that you wanted to purchase, something you wanted to look for in store, you can definitely check those out. I'll also add the item numbers so you guys can find it a lot easier. This is the Cala concealer brush. And I'm going to dip it into the concealer. And I'm going to clean up my brows. And as you can see, it has more of a precise look now. And I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. If you prefer a super natural look, you can use a brow pencil as opposed to a brow pomade, which isn't as pigmented. And that's it for the bottom. I actually like to outline the top of my brows with my foundation because I don't like that halo effect on my eyebrows. So this is the Black Opal Stick Foundation. This is one of our best sellers from Black Opal. I'm also going to be using this on my face, but just to use it on my brows for now. And this is in the shade Heavenly Honey. That's it right there. now I'm going to use a sponge. This is the sponge from Broadway. I'm going to use this just to clean up the concealer and the foundation. Okay, so I'm actually gonna go in and put some more concealer on my eyelids so that I can apply some eyeshadow. I'm gonna do a very simple eyeshadow look. Nothing too crazy today. And I'm gonna go in once again with the Broadway sponge. And obviously, if you're going to be using brighter colors, you want to use a eyeshadow primer, and we do have quite a few from like Absolute New York, LA Girl. But a quick fix is obviously concealer. Okay, now I'm going to be going in with the Icon eyeshadow palette from Absolute New York. This is like a an earthy eyeshadow palette. Most of the tones are like browns. I see some greens and gold shades. And this is how the palette looks. The packaging is really nice. And it actually does come with an eyeshadow brush, and it's double-ended, so you have two options. And this is how all of these shades look. Usually whenever I do simple eyeshadow looks, I just like to do a brown tone in the crease, and then I'll put some sort of shimmer or something on my eyelid just to give it a pop of color, but nothing too drastic. So I'm going to take the shade Nude right here, and this is like a blender brush. Anytime you see a brush with like the end that's like more fluffy and flared out, it should be really good for blending. And then put that in my crease. I also really like to put bronzer in my crease. If you don't want to put on any eyeshadow but you still want it to look like you did something, you can just put bronzer in your crease and you're good to go. Now I'm going to do the other side. Okay, and now I'm going to take the shade Gilded, which is this one right here, and I'm just gonna put that on my lid. And that one's a really nice shimmery bronzy sort of eye look or sort of shade. A good tip, if you want this to be very pigmented, you can spray your brush with setting spray and then pack it on, and it'll help to really brighten up the colors. But I want to do something pretty simple today, so this should be good. And then I'm just going to go back in with the previous shade Nude, and I'm going to swipe my crease just once more. So now that we're done with eyeshadow, I'm going to be lining my waterline with the Absolute New York. This is the Glide and Glam Gel Eyeliner in the shade White. I've been really into lining my waterline with white eyeliner because it adds a really nice glowy effect. It kind of brightens up your face as opposed to black liner, which is going to give you more depth. But this is really nice for especially very vibrant eyeshadow looks. This helps to just add that extra pop of color. And now to complete the eye look, I'm going to be using lashes from RD Beauty. These are in the style Snatched. We just got these a couple months ago, and these are probably my favorite by far because these give you that look as if you're wearing extensions. With the lash extensions, it's obviously a lot more maintenance as opposed to strip lashes, so this will give you that look for a fraction of the price. Okay, getting your lashes done will range between like $70 to $150, whereas these are like $8. And you can wear RD Beauty lashes 20 to 30 times. So this is a very good option to still give you that look. So I'm going to grab my tweezers and pull out the lashes. And I'm going to use my glue from Duo. This is the black glue. This is my favorite one out of the entire line. Now I'm going to wait for those to dry before I apply them on. You don't want to apply these on too early or else they won't stick. You have to wait until the glue gets tacky and then they'll go on really easily. Okay, and just to give you guys a close-up of the lash, so it has that really like curled effect, which makes it look exactly like you're wearing eyelash extensions. Okay, Snatched is cooperating now. Okay, so now that the eye look is complete, my eyeshadow is done, my lashes are done, my eyebrows are done, we're going to move on to the face. So as you can probably tell, I do have some red spots on my cheeks, one on my forehead. There are some things that you can use to correct the tones, just so it doesn't show through your foundation. If you have more dark spots, then an orange concealer, a red or orange concealer would be your best option. This one is from LA Girl. This is the Pro Conceal. This is one of our most popular concealers, or if anything, the most popular one that we have. This is a very well-known product, and it just works so well for many people. And then for me, because I have red spots, I'm going to be using the green concealer. So with any sort of red marks, any redness, blushing, that kind of thing, you want to use a green to cancel out the color. And then, like I said, with darker colors or darker marks, you want to use an orange to cancel out those shades or those tones. So I'm going to be using the Prep and Prime primer from Absolute New York. This is green. It's going to help correct the redness on my face. So I'm just going to take a little bit of that. Oh, this is dirty. So next, we're going to be using the Black Opal Invisible Oil Primer. The consistency of this product isn't one that you would expect from a primer. It's a lot looser and not as sticky, but it still does work very well. So I'm going to use that on my face. And rub all of that in. And it just helps to correct any sort of discoloration on your face, just so it doesn't show through your foundation. And you want to be very careful that you don't use too much of this, because you don't want it to blend in with your foundation. And you also want to wait a minute or two just so it can set and so it won't move around. This is really good for people who have very sensitive skin and tend to turn red very easily. You just use some of this and it'll help to conceal that perfectly. So now I'm going to go back in with the concealer brush, And I'm going to blend all of that out. I don't want to rub it in too much, more so pat it so the product doesn't wipe away. And I know it looks crazy right now. You guys are probably wondering, what is all this green stuff on her face? But it's gonna look good in a second. And like I said, I'm gonna wait just a couple of minutes to let it set on my face so that it doesn't blend in with my foundation and I'm not walking out of here looking green. All right, so now moving on to foundation. This is one of my favorite foundations. Usually, because I do have dry skin, I try to stay away from stick foundations, but these ones are actually really nice. They blend in really well and they don't feel like they dry out my skin. So I have these shades Heavenly Honey and Rich Caramel. Heavenly Honey is a bit too beige and Rich Caramel is a bit too warm, so I blend the two and it gives me a really good match. So this is Heavenly Honey. And you'll notice that I don't really put too much foundation on my forehead. I like to just blend out the excess from my face because I don't like to have too much foundation there. And now I'm going in with Rich Caramel. Okay, and now because we are using a stick foundation, you want to use a flat top foundation brush as opposed to a sponge. You can use a sponge after just to get rid of any streaks, but for the initial blending, you want to use a buffing brush. So I'm just gonna go in with this and buff that into my skin. You wanna make sure that you blend this in very well. So that your skin looks seamless. You can go in and add more foundation to any areas that you'd like to have a bit more coverage, or you could also just do another layer. I may just do a second layer. Just so I can cover all of my dark spots and everything. This foundation is extremely lightweight, but it's also very buildable, so it's gonna give you a pretty decent amount of coverage. Now that we buffed out our foundation, you do wanna go in with your sponge just to get rid of any streaks that may be on your face from the buffing brush. Another thing to note is you want your sponge to be damp, so that it blends the foundation out and your concealer really nicely. Okay, now that foundation is done, I'm going to be moving on to concealer. I'm gonna go back in with that same concealer that I used for under my eyes. I'm gonna show the tester stick. So the Kiss New York Full Coverage Pro Touch Concealer. That's it right there. And I'm going to use this under my eyes, on my chin, and on my forehead. I don't really like to contour and highlight my nose, so I'm going to be avoiding that area. Depending on the look that you want under your eyes, if you want a brighter look, you can go up a few shades. But I don't like to have it too bright on my face, so I go for something that's a bit more neutral. But it's completely up to you. Like I said, makeup, you can customize it to however you want it, however you want to look that day. If you want a simple everyday look, you can do that. If you want a very glammed look, you can also do that with a brighter concealer, also depending on the setting powder that you use. So, oh wait, I'm not done yet. I have to use a bit on my chin and on my forehead. One of my favorite makeup tips that I've learned over the years is to let your concealer sit for about 5 minutes or so, because when you blend it out too early, it feels like it just spreads all over your face. So you can give it some time to just dry a bit, set down, and then you can blend it out with your sponge. So I'm gonna go in with the sponge again, and I'm going to blend out the concealer. And another really good tip is if you find that your concealer feels like it's spreading out a bit too much, you can use the side with the foundation that you applied from earlier, and you can help to fix those areas. I'll show you guys in a second what exactly I'm talking about, most likely under my eyes, because that's usually where that tends to happen. Okay, and this concealer is blending beautifully. So, like I mentioned before, you can take the other end of your brush just to block out any harsh lines that the concealer may create. And now I'm going to do my under eyes. Okay, and now that my concealer is blended out, I'm going to contour with, yet again, the Black Opal foundation stick. This is in the shade Au Chocolat. If my French is good, you guys let me know how I did on that pronunciation. So I'm gonna twist that out. Second my cheeks a bit so that it gives that shape and kind of gives me a guideline of where I need to apply the product. And as I mentioned, I don't really like to contour my nose. I don't really like to contour my forehead too much either. But if you choose to, you can just swipe some on the top. And then for your nose, you can just put it on the edges, on the sides, to give you more of a snatched look, to really define your nose. And you can play around with the shape that way. So where is the cover? Oh. And to do that, I'm also going to be using my sponge again. Okay, when it comes to contour and highlighting, you can really play around with the shape of your face depending on how you want to look. If you want your cheeks to look slimmer, you can take some setting powder and kind of slide it on the bottom, and it gives it that defined look. Yeah, you can really make yourself look however you want to with makeup, which is so nice about it. You can be as creative as you'd like to be, and you can also be as simple as you'd like to be. And once again, if you feel like the product may have spread out a bit too much, just go back in with that side that you used for your foundation, and it'll help to blend out everything. And sometimes I will go on my forehead with the excess product, but I don't really like too much of a defined look on my forehead with contour, so I won't do too much. Okay, so to set my concealer, because as I mentioned earlier, I do have dry skin, so I don't like to use setting powders too much, or if I do, I just won't use such an excessive amount. So I'm going to use this invisible oil blocking pressed powder from Black Opal. As you can tell, I really like Black Opal because their products just work so well. So This is a translucent color, so anyone of any shade can use this. I'm just going to tap in my setting brush in there, cut off the excess, and just tap that in, just to make sure the concealer doesn't move, and then I'll like swipe off any extra powder that may be on my face. And of course, whatever you do to one side, you want to do to the next. And on my chin, on my forehead, because you know, your forehead tends to get pretty oily throughout the day. And also I'll do my nose and these sides, just to make sure the product doesn't crease too much and that it stays in place. Okay, now to set my contour, I'm going to be using the LA Colors. I'm going to be using the LA Colors Mineral Press Powder. This is how it looks, and this is the shade Creamy Cocoa. And this is the pressed powder. I'm going to be using a sculpting brush to define the contour on my cheeks. And I will put a bit of this on my forehead. So now I'm going to be setting my face with setting spray. I'll attach a picture of which one I'm using because unfortunately the bottle just is not cute right now. So make sure you move your hair out the way. And then you can go back in with your sponge, tap that into your face, and it just brings everything together. And now I'm going to be using the LA Girl glitter eyeshadow, and this is in the shade Gold Digger. Okay, gold, not gold. We're keeping it PG here. And I'm just going to use a small brush so that I can get into my inner tear ducts. One of my favorite parts of doing my makeup is adding highlighter to my inner tear ducts. It just adds that extra dimension to your eyes and it really makes them pop. So I'm going to use a small brush to add that gold pigment to my inner tear duct. Okay, me personally, because I do like a very bold highlight in my inner tear duct, I am using an eyeshadow that has more chunky glitter. But you can definitely use a highlighter that's a bit more subtle and finely milled, and it'll give you a different look depending on what you're going for. But I will use that on my inner tear duct, a bit under my eyebrows. And I will use a fan brush to put some on my cheeks. How it looks. This is actually the Ruby Kisses fan brush. Ruby Kisses brushes work absolutely amazing. They're very soft, but they're very soft, very affordable, but they still work very well. And finally, the last step, I'm going to do my lips. So I'm going to be using this eyeliner from LA Girl. Perfect Precision lip liner, and this is in the shade Vamp. So it's like a brownish plum tone. It's not too red, so it doesn't give you like that berry look, but it's it has a pretty decent amount of brown tones to still give you that depth. And you can always go beyond your lips if you wanted to have more of a fuller look. Okay, and now that my lips are lined, I'm now going to be using our Ruby Kisses Butter Bomb Gloss. This is in the shade Blind Date. It's a nice nudish, pinkish tone. This is how it looks. It's so pretty. And these bomb glosses are very creamy, very glossy. And they come in about 10 to 12 shades, I believe, so you have many options. Like I mentioned before, if any of the lip liner or the lip gloss goes outside of your lip line, you can always take a Q-tip or a tissue and clean it up and make it look very precise. You can also use concealer or foundation around the outer corners if you want a very precise look, but I'm just gonna use Q-tips today. Okay, so there you guys have it. This is the completed look. I'm going to take down my hair just so you guys can see everything. Once your makeup is done and your hair is in shape, everything just comes together automatically. Okay, now this is the final look. Thank you guys once again for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions, any concerns, leave us a comment down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. You can find all of our information in the description, our Instagram, our TikTok, our Facebook, also the link to our website. If you don't remember, we do have 8 locations within the GTA, Hamilton, and Ottawa, so make sure you check us out in store, and you can also shop online. We'll have the website link down below. See you next time. Bye.